Obesity is not just about weight. In seniors, it's about survival, independence, dignity, and how long and well they live. Especially in the United States, where over 42% of adults over 60 are affected by obesity, this silent crisis is robbing millions of their mobility, energy, and peace of mind. Whether in Canada, the United Kingdom, or Australia, it's not just about eating less or walking more. It's deeply tied to micronutrient imbalances, hidden deficiencies, and age-related metabolic dysfunction that traditional diets and medications often ignore. Vitamins aren't magic pills, but for many seniors, they are the missing links, the overlooked factors that could determine whether someone spends their final years thriving or trapped in cycles of illness, fatigue, and physical decline. Vitamin D is the first and one of the most critical vitamins tied directly to obesity, especially in seniors. Research consistently shows that low vitamin D levels are common in obese individuals, but in seniors, the effects are more severe. When older adults in the United States become deficient in vitamin D, their fat cells become more insulin resistant. That means their body starts storing fat even more aggressively and struggles to use it as fuel. Without enough vitamin D, the mitochondria, those energy-burning engines inside your cells, don't function correctly. And that's exactly why many seniors feel like they're always tired, even if they sleep well or eat healthy. It's not laziness, it's a biochemical trap. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that seniors supplementing with vitamin D had lower levels of visceral fat, which is the most dangerous type of fat surrounding the organs. And you know what's worse? Seniors often avoid sun exposure because of fragile skin or fear of skin cancer, but that's their main source of vitamin D. Many are told to use SPF 50 and stay out of the sun, but that means their body loses its natural ability to synthesize vitamin D. What happens next? Reduced calcium absorption, muscle weakness, more belly fat, and increased falls and fractures. It's a vicious cycle. In one nursing facility in Canada, over 70% of seniors were found to have critically low vitamin D. No one addressed it until the fall rates became too frequent to ignore. Next is vitamin B12, which plays a massive role in energy metabolism and neurological health. Without enough B12, your metabolism slows down significantly because this vitamin helps convert the food you eat into energy. Seniors in the United Kingdom and United States are particularly vulnerable, especially those taking metformin, antacids, or proton pump inhibitors, which are extremely common in elderly people with diabetes or acid reflux. These medications block the absorption of B12, sometimes without any symptoms for years. But what does this mean for obesity? When your body can't burn carbohydrates and fats efficiently, it starts storing them instead. Then the brain gets affected too. Fatigue, brain fog, memory problems, even mood disorders like depression, which can kill motivation to exercise or eat well. A quiet spiral begins. The CDC reports that over 15% of seniors in the U.S. are B12 deficient, but functional doctors believe it's way higher. Many doctors don't even test B12 unless there's full-blown anemia, but neurological damage can start much earlier. In Australia, a longitudinal aging study found that supplementing with methylcobalamin, a bioavailable form of B12, significantly improved energy levels and metabolic rates in older adults within just 8 weeks. Then there's vitamin C, which most people think is just for immune health. But this is completely misunderstood. Vitamin C is crucial for fat oxidation during exercise, meaning it helps you actually burn fat when you move your body. It also regulates cortisol, the stress hormone that causes belly fat retention in seniors. Cortisol goes up with age, especially if someone is sick, lonely, not sleeping well, or taking certain medications. Vitamin C brings that cortisol back down. In one small study of older women in the United States, those with higher plasma vitamin C levels had significantly lower BMI and waist circumference, even though their diets were similar. Vitamin C also helps produce carnitine, the amino acid that transports fat into the mitochondria to be burned for energy. Without carnitine, you store fat, no matter how healthy you eat. And guess what? Many seniors avoid citrus or acidic foods because of digestive issues, so their vitamin C intake plummets over time. This can result in reduced immune function, poor fat metabolism, and even muscle loss, which further slows metabolism. In one hospital-based study in the United Kingdom, elderly patients with the lowest vitamin C levels had the highest risk for sarcopenic obesity, a condition where people lose muscle but gain fat, especially around the abdomen, making them appear thin fat or frail obese. Another powerhouse vitamin often overlooked is vitamin B6. This one works hand in hand with B12 and folate to regulate homocysteine, an inflammatory amino acid that damages blood vessels and raises the risk for cardiovascular disease. But B6 also influences insulin sensitivity, brain health, and appetite regulation. Low B6 in seniors leads to erratic appetite, poor mood control, and cravings, especially for sugary or carb-heavy foods. It becomes a survival instinct for the body, but it results in weight gain, especially in seniors who aren't active enough to burn those extra calories. A population study in Canada found that older adults with higher vitamin B6 intake were significantly less likely to be obese, even after adjusting for calorie consumption and physical activity. This vitamin is found in many whole foods like bananas, potatoes, and chicken, but cooking or heating can destroy it. Seniors relying on pre-made meals, reheated food, or canned items from Medicare-supported programs are at high risk of being undernourished in B6 without even realizing it. Vitamin A deserves a lot more attention when it comes to obesity and aging. Most people think of it only in terms of eyesight, but it's a hormone-like nutrient that impacts fat storage, insulin sensitivity, and immune health. In seniors, vitamin A helps maintain brown adipose tissue, which is the type of fat that burns calories instead of storing them. Brown fat becomes less active as we age, especially when vitamin A is low. A study from Australia showed that restoring vitamin A in older adults helped increase thermogenesis, the body's natural heat production, which resulted in higher calorie burn even at rest. Seniors with adequate vitamin A also had stronger immune systems and fewer infections, which indirectly affects weight. Every infection leads to inactivity, bed rest, appetite loss or binge eating, and eventually fat gain. Vitamin A also plays a key role in gene expression and adipogenesis, the process that determines how many fat cells your body makes. Deficiency means your body is more likely to store fat, even from small amounts of food. Vitamin K2, not to be confused with K1, is next. This is one of the most underrated nutrients in obesity prevention, particularly for seniors who are dealing with metabolic syndrome, diabetes, or cardiovascular issues. K2 controls where calcium goes in the body. Without enough of it, calcium ends up in arteries instead of bones, leading to stiffness, high blood pressure, and inflammation. But it also affects insulin sensitivity and adipokines, which are signaling molecules released by fat tissue. When K2 is deficient, those signals become inflammatory, pushing the body to store more visceral fat and disrupting metabolic balance. In one trial done on aging adults in the United States, those supplementing with K2 showed improved insulin response, lower waist circumference, and less calcification in the arteries. Vitamin E, especially in the form of tocotrienols, goes beyond antioxidant function. It actually influences gene expression related to fat metabolism. Seniors dealing with obesity often have higher levels of oxidative stress, which damages fat-burning hormones and promotes fat accumulation. In animal models, tocotrienols have been shown to reduce body weight, lower inflammation markers, and increase fat oxidation. Older adults in Canada and the United Kingdom were found to have better cardiovascular health and lower body fat percentage when they consumed a tocotrienol-rich diet. Seniors often rely on synthetic alpha-tocopherol supplements, which can actually block the absorption of beneficial tocotrienols. This is why many studies on vitamin E show conflicting results. But when the full spectrum is included, especially the delta and gamma tocotrienols, the results are clear: improved metabolic rate, lower LDL, and decreased risk of fatty liver disease, which is increasingly common in obese seniors. One last essential vitamin is folate, vitamin B9. It's vital for methylation, detoxification, and DNA repair. But it also influences leptin sensitivity, which is the hormone that tells your brain when you're full. Seniors with low folate become leptin resistant, meaning their brain never gets the signal to stop eating. This results in overconsumption, even when the stomach is full. In Australia, a clinical study found that obese seniors with low folate had higher hunger levels and a much harder time losing weight even on a calorie-controlled diet. Folate also works with B12 and B6 to reduce inflammation and balance neurotransmitters. Deficiency leads to irritability, low mood, impulsive eating, and worse sleep, all of which feed into obesity. Most seniors are given synthetic folic acid in cheap multivitamins, but this can build up in the body and cause problems. What they need is methylfolate, the active form, especially if they have the common MTHFR gene mutation that affects folate metabolism, estimated to affect over 40% of adults in the US and Canada. And next part, we'll continue with more biochemical explanations, nutritional guidance, and how these vitamins influence fat-burning pathways and energy balance specifically in elderly people. Another overlooked but biologically crucial factor for obesity prevention in seniors is how these vitamins interact with hormones, especially insulin, leptin, cortisol, and thyroid hormones. Every single one of the vitamins mentioned earlier, vitamin D, B12, B6, vitamin C, vitamin E, K2, folate, and A, either directly or indirectly impacts hormonal signaling. And in older adults from the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, and Australia, hormonal imbalances are not just common, they're expected. Aging bodies lose hormonal sensitivity, but when vitamins are deficient, the process accelerates. Insulin resistance increases, the body holds onto belly fat, appetite regulation becomes dysfunctional, and thyroid function declines. This is why so many seniors say things like, "I barely eat anything and I still gain weight," or "I'm always tired and bloated." They aren't exaggerating. Their hormones are being sabotaged by nutritional gaps, many of which go completely undiagnosed in standard medical exams covered by Medicare or NHS protocols. Let's take leptin resistance as an example, which is one of the primary reasons obese seniors cannot lose weight, even on low-calorie diets. Leptin is released by fat cells to signal fullness to the brain. In theory, more fat means more leptin, so appetite should decrease. But in obesity, the brain becomes numb to the signal. This is leptin resistance. Now, folate, vitamin A, vitamin D, and B12 all play key roles in leptin sensitivity. Without these nutrients, the leptin signal gets weaker or distorted. In a study from a senior population in the United States, researchers found that individuals with chronic vitamin A and folate deficiency had significantly higher leptin levels in their blood, but also reported higher levels of hunger and had higher BMIs. Their brains weren't responding to leptin correctly. But after only 3 months of correcting their micronutrient levels using bioavailable supplements and diet changes, leptin levels dropped, hunger normalized, and weight loss became more achievable even with small lifestyle modifications. The connection between thyroid function and vitamin intake in seniors is also much more important than most doctors acknowledge. Cortisol, the body's stress hormone, is another key player. Chronically elevated cortisol leads to fat gain, especially visceral fat, muscle wasting, and insulin resistance. And cortisol naturally rises as we age due to circadian rhythm disruption, loneliness, physical illness, and polypharmacy. But here's the critical link. Vitamin C, B6, and magnesium help regulate cortisol. Seniors low in vitamin C can't buffer stress chemically, so cortisol stays high. This creates a physiological environment in which weight gain is almost guaranteed. A controlled trial in Australia on elderly adults living in assisted facilities found that those supplemented with 1,000 millimolars of vitamin C and 50 ml of B6 had up to 40% lower cortisol levels after just 6 weeks. Not only that, they also slept better, had improved blood glucose levels, and reported less hunger at night, which is a common cause of overeating among elderly individuals living alone or in care homes. Another major issue is inflammation, and this is something nearly all seniors in the United States and Canada struggle with. Chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, blocks fat-burning pathways and promotes fat storage. Every one of the vitamins we've discussed is a critical anti-inflammatory agent in the body. Vitamin E tocotrienols reduce oxidative stress at the cellular level, especially in liver and adipose tissues. Vitamin D regulates the immune system and shuts off excessive inflammatory cytokines. Folate and B12 help with methylation, which clears out inflammatory compounds like homocysteine. In the United Kingdom, researchers analyzed inflammatory markers in elderly patients with obesity and found that over 85% had subclinical vitamin B deficiencies, even if their blood levels appeared borderline. When these vitamins were corrected using bioavailable forms like methylcobalamin, pyridoxal 5-phosphate, and methylfolate, inflammation dropped significantly and patients lost weight faster and more sustainably. We have to also consider how gut health affects vitamin absorption, especially in seniors. Older adults often suffer from low stomach acid, gallbladder dysfunction, and microbial imbalances. All of this reduces the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. In Australia, an aging population study found that seniors with higher rates of obesity had lower levels of beneficial gut bacteria, and those individuals also had more vitamin deficiencies. It's not just what you eat or what you supplement with, it's what your body absorbs. And guess what? Proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole, often prescribed in the United States for reflux, dramatically reduce stomach acid, leading to poor absorption of B12, iron, and even magnesium and calcium. That's one reason why so many elderly Americans, even those eating healthy meals through senior centers or subsidized nutrition programs, are still dealing with obesity, fatigue, and metabolic disease. Their gut isn't absorbing what they need. Doctors often focus on calories, sugar intake, or cholesterol, but completely ignore these critical absorption issues that silently contribute to poor health and fat gain. Also ignored is muscle quality, which is tied directly to vitamins like D, E, C, and B6. Seniors often lose muscle mass without even realizing it, and this is one of the most dangerous things for long-term weight control. Muscle burns more calories at rest than fat does. The less muscle you have, the slower your metabolism. Vitamin D improves muscle protein synthesis. Vitamin C strengthens connective tissue, reduces recovery time, and supports collagen repair. Vitamin E protects muscle cells from oxidative damage after exercise, and B6 is needed for amino acid metabolism. When seniors are low in these, they lose lean mass, even if they walk every day. In one study in Canada, 2 groups of seniors did the exact same low-impact exercise program, but only one group received vitamin C and E supplements. The group with supplements gained significantly more lean muscle and lost more belly fat in 12 weeks. This wasn't a magic pill. It was correcting a basic deficiency that allowed the body to respond to exercise properly. How many seniors in the United States are doing everything right but still seeing no results simply because of a missing nutrient? Another huge factor is that many vitamins must be in their bioactive form to actually work in the body. For example, folic acid is not the same as methylfolate. Cyanocobalamin is not the same as methylcobalamin. Seniors often have genetic mutations like MTHFR, which prevent proper conversion of these vitamins into their usable forms. This means even if they take a multivitamin, their body may not be using it. Functional practitioners across the United Kingdom and Canada are now testing seniors for these mutations and switching them to activated B vitamins, with massive success in weight reduction, energy, and mood stability. These genetic issues are common. Up to 60% of people in North America may have at least one MTHFR mutation, and the consequences become more severe with age. Without the active forms, homocysteine builds up, detox slows, metabolism crashes, and weight gain becomes inevitable.